Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Learn AWS with Neeraj. I welcome all of you. Yesterday we talked about S3 and IAM services, and prior to that, over the weekend, we had a demo class where we talk about why do we need cloud computing and how to create our AWS trial account. So in case you are having any doubt from the last two classes, any type of doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we are ready to start with today's topic, that is about EC2 and Lambda functions. Okay, so I have opened my AWS console. As you can see, I have just logged in using my username, password, and MFA so that we can secure our AWS account. And before we start, right, because people are still joining, I would still wait for 2 more minutes. In case you are having any type of doubt, we can utilize this time to clarify your doubts. And within 2 minutes, we should be starting with today's class. Okay, so as we discussed in our demo class, that remote server are like physically located somewhere, but as per your requirement, as per your project's need, you can request for the server where everything is completely customizable. That means what type of hardware you want, what amount of RAM you need, what type of storage you are looking for, and which operating system you are looking for, right? Everything is completely configurable, and there is a free usage of 750 hours per month. That means if you are launching one small server and even you keep it running 24 by 7, that will still be under the 750 hours of monthly limit. But that's not a good idea. We will keep our server in stopped state whenever we are not using it. Okay. So in the AWS console, I will be searching for EC2 as you can see here, and you can see the tagline. It is saying virtual servers in the cloud. So I will be clicking on EC2 and will be launching our first EC2 instance. Okay, so on the left side, you can see that there are different options where we have instances type, launch template, support request. Many things are there. We'll be talking about the important stuff. So we'll click on instances. As we explained little bit yesterday, that instances are nothing but your servers. You can see one instance is already available here, but you can ignore that. I will be launching a fresh instance for all of you so that you can understand like how to launch a particular server. So on the left side, you can see the option of launch instance. We'll click on that, and it will give us the flexibility to customize each and everything. Starting from what should be the name of your server. There is no technical significance of it. You can give any name as per your choice. So maybe I am giving my first EC2 server. Okay. After that, application and OS image. When you are buying a new laptop, that is window based or Mac or Ubuntu, right? Sometimes people who are very expert in installing the operating system by themselves, what they do is they buy a fresh blank laptop. That means there is no operating system installed inside it. Then as per their choice, using a bootable disk or bootable hard drive nowadays, and there are many more ways to install the operating system, they can install as per their preference. Same thing is here. When you are launching a server, it's asking you what type of operating system you need. So AWS has customized the Linux as per the AWS, because that particular image, right? Image is nothing but a bootable CD type thing, you can say. So that image will come up with pre-installed AWS services and tools. That means at least you don't have to worry about installing of those tools. So you can go ahead with Amazon Linux in case you have a specific requirement in your project. Maybe you are looking for Mac OS or Ubuntu or Windows or Red Hat and many more. There are many more options to choose from, but usually the main thing are Linux based OS, Mac OS, Ubuntu or Windows. You can choose out of these. So let's go with the first one, that is Amazon Linux AWS. So we'll go with that. After that, from this one, from this list, you can choose the particular image, and you can notice that it is saying free tier eligible. It's clearly saying that this particular image is eligible for free uses. So you can choose this one. If you're going with something else like deep learning, AMI, GPU, something, something, right? That is not freely available. So as it is clearly mentioning, we'll go with the first one. And after that, this is the type of image, type of operating system. After that, there is a type of hard disk and all this stuff also. You can see that T2.micro. So you can see the detail. The one CPU will be there, one virtual CPU, we call it as vCPU, virtual CPU, 1 GB of RAM. This one will be there in case you are going with T2.micro, and this is free tier eligible. If you click on this drop down, you will find many more. So T2.micro, that is free tier eligible. Apart from that, T2.small, T2.medium, T2.large, T2.x large, and you notice that the capacity is increasing. For CPU, 16 GB of RAM. If you keep on coming down, you will find that many more configurations are available, but those are not free of cost available. Okay, so that you have to choose carefully. So you can see there are a lot of configuration available, but for our learning purpose we will be going with T2.micro. Okay, after that the next is key pair login. That's very important concept. When you are launching a server will be launched, server will be running, but the question is, how do I log in into that server, right? So in order to log in into the server, we need a key pair. Key pair, as the name indicates, it's like a key. You have a room that is locked and you have the key for it. So as in when you need to open the door, you can use that key. Same thing is here. So at the time of launching your server, you can create a new key pair, or in case you have already available, in my case it will be already available. You can see that my EC2 key pair, so I can use that. But in your case, because you will be launching your account first time, you can click on create new key pair and then provide some name, my EC2 key pair something. You can provide the name. And one more thing is there, in case you are on Mac system or Linux based OS system, you can download .pem file, or in case you are on Windows, you download ppk file. Because in my case my system is the Windows, so I will be using .ppk file for connecting to my server. So you can choose .ppk file or .pem file as per your need. And finally, click on create key pair. As soon as you will click on create key pair, it will download one file on your local system. Keep that file safe and secure, because that file will be used for creating the connection to your server. Okay, so I'm canceling it because I already have the key pair created, and that is already stored on my local system. Okay, coming to the next section, it's asking about network setting. So you can see that there is a VPC ID. VPC is nothing but a IP address range. When you create your AWS trial account, AWS allocate one IP address range to your account. That means whatever server you will launch as part of your trial account, all those server will be getting the IP address from that particular range. It's like STD code, right? Every city has a STD code, and any number within that area, within that city, that STD code will be applicable. Similar is there here. So one is VPC ID and then subnet. VPC ID you can correlate with the country code, like 91 is the country code for India. And inside that there is a subnet. Subnet is like the sub range. It you can say like STD code of individual cities. So when you are launching a server, it is saying that no preference. That means AWS will decide where to create the server for you. In case you say that, okay, I want to specify a subnet, you can even click on edit and then you can select a particular subnet ID. Otherwise, in normal scenario, it does not matter. They will create a server for you and they will automatically assign some IP address also. Okay. If you come down, you will find that there is a concept of security group. The name itself is giving you the detail that it is securing your server. That means security group will decide what type of inbound and outbound traffic will be there inside from that system. That means who can access that server from outside and what type of IP address that server can access outside, because even that server may need to connect to somewhere. For example, you are working on a Python project and you need to download some Python library. So the server needs to connect to the outer world, to the outer internet, to download some jar file, some Python library, some other content. Or take some another example. Suppose banking clients. That means few of your application are, you can say, available within the bank's building, within the bank's premises, right? In that case, the server on AWS need to connect inside and outside both, because your bank server will be connecting to the AWS servers and AWS server will be sending some traffic to your on premise server. So we need inbound and outbound traffic both. And security groups are here to control your inbound and outbound traffics. Okay, so you can see that it is saying allow SSH traffic. This is very important. When you are connecting to your server from outside means from my personal laptop, I will be connecting to AWS server. So for that connection, we need this one, allow SSH traffic. That connection is known as SSH connection. So if you uncheck this box, right, you will be able to launch your server, but no one will be able to connect to your server. That's not good, right? Without connecting to the server, what's the point of having a server? That's why by default this one is selected. Apart from that, if you are planning to launch a website on your server, that may be HTTP website or HTTPS website, in that case accordingly you can allow HTTP or HTTPS traffic from the internet. But as of now, we will be going with only SSH traffic, because security group you can edit at any point of time. Later on, if we feel that we need to allow some more traffic, we can come here again and we can edit that. As of now, we are good with this. Okay, so before we proceed, because there are a lot of settings here, I would like to take a break of 2 minutes. I will quickly have a look at the YouTube chat, and in case you are also having any question in your mind, you can just post on the YouTube chat and I will be happy to answer that. So there is a question from Hari Krishna, and he's asking that if we have Windows OS, still we can use this Amazon Linux AWS. Absolutely, it has no connection with your personal laptop. You are launching a server which is available somewhere, and you will get access. I was explaining on the key value pair, right? So if you are accessing that server from your Windows, you can download .ppk file. If you are accessing that server from your Mac system, you can download .pem file. That's only for connectivity purpose. But when the server is being launched, the operating system on the server can be anything, irrespective of your personal laptop's operating system. I hope that answers your question, Hari. Okay, that's good. Any other doubt from anyone else? I will quickly conduct a poll. Okay, it seems like there is no doubt till now. That's good. So I will be proceeding with launching our server, and we'll be talking about next stuff. Next is configure storage. So RAM is already there because you selected some type, right? So RAM is already there, 1 GB of RAM. And now coming to hard drive. So there will be 8 GB of hard disk. That's the root volume. Root volume you can correlate with Windows C drive because Windows is installed in the C drive. Apart from C drive, you can have many more drives, D, E, F, right? Similarly, in Linux based OS, there is a concept of root volume and non-root volume. So root volume is of 8 GB, and you can read this. Free tier eligible customers can get up to 30 GB of EBS general purpose or magnetic storage. In simple words, as a free usage, you can go up to 30 GB. And one more thing is there. You can read this one. In your first year includes 750 hours of T2.micro or T3.micro instance uses on free tier AMI per month. You can see that. I was explaining this, right? You will get 750 hours of T2.micro server within 1 month. Next month it will again like reset. It's not a carry forward. If you are using only 500 hours in 1 month, does not mean that you will get higher usage in the next month. No, every month you will be getting only 750 hours of usage, and that's more than sufficient. You will not use more than 2-3 hours per day. So for 1 month it won't even cross 100 hours, right? So we are good here. So along with the root volume, if you want, you can add another volume that is non-root volume. So let me do that. Add new volume, and I will make it suppose 10 GB. Okay, and that's all. There are few advanced detail, but that is not required at this point of time. You can click on launch instance. You can see here number of instances. If you want to launch multiple instances with the same configuration, whatever we have chosen, right? Operating system, RAM, hard disk, key value pair, security group, everything using the same configuration, same settings. If you want to launch multiple instances, we can do that. But that's not our requirement. To connect to that server, there are many ways to connect to it. There are multiple ways. Out of that, we will be talking about two ways. One way is to connect directly from the browser. That is easy and convenient way. Another way is to connect from your server. And in order to connect from your server, we need a small tool that is known as putty. I hope you are aware about the putty tool, but in case you are not, I am putting the name in the YouTube chat. So the tool name is putty in case you are on Windows. So in case you are using Windows operating system, you can go to Google and simply type download putty. It will hardly take 2 minutes and your putty is ready. Using that putty, we will be able to connect to our server. And in order to connect, we need few things. First thing is IP address of your server. Second thing is the username. And the third but last but not the least is the password. Either the password or the key pair. So we already created the key pair, right? That's available on my local file system as a file. So I will be using that file, and you will see shortly how to connect to the server. Okay. So what I will do is I will be going back to, you can see here, successfully initiated launch of instance. Only initiated. It's not saying that server is ready. It has successfully initiated the process of launching the server. So let's go back to here, instances, and you will find one more instance here. Do we have? No. Why? I am refreshing the list of server. Let's see if it is showing one more server apart from the previous one available, right? Yes, it's there. You can see here the name of server is my first EC2 server. There is a unique instance ID automatically generated by AWS. After that, the current state is running. The current state is running, but still it's not ready for use because you can see here. Okay, so you can see here instance ID is there, that is provided by AWS. Public IPv4 address. Address is available here. Public IP address, which we will use for connection. There is a private IP address also. If one server in AWS is trying to connect within another server within AWS, that would be internal communication. For that, they can use private IP address. That connectivity will be super fast because they are using the AWS network. But in case you are connecting from outside, like from our personal laptop, we are connecting to our server, that would be needing the public IP address. So both addresses are listed here. Okay. After that, there are a few more details like host name is there and VPC ID I was explaining, right? Subnet ID is there. IAM role. If you remember yesterday, we created one IAM role, but it is displaying blank because attaching the IAM role is not mandatory. You can launch a server, although you will not be able to perform anything because there is no role associated. That means this server does not have any permission. It cannot perform any type of action on AWS. Later on, when your server is ready, you can attach the IAM server. That's possible. That you can do. Okay. So platform, that's operating system, is Amazon Linux. There is a AMI ID also. That is image ID, and few more details you can see here. Okay. So if you want to attach the IAM role, what we will do is we'll click on action and then security, modify IAM role is there. Okay. So you can choose the IAM role from here, and we created this role yesterday, my EC2 IAM role or role for EC2 server. I don't exactly remember. I think one was created last batch and one was created yesterday. So we'll choose this one, role for EC2 server, that we can choose and click on update IAM role. Okay. So let's check it out again. I will click on this checkbox and IAM role is there. You see this? The IAM role which we created yesterday, we have associated that role with this particular server. The same role can be attached with multiple servers also. If you have 5 servers and you have only one role, it's possible to associate the same role with all 5 servers. The only challenge is, suppose tomorrow you are adding some permission or removing some permission from that role, that will be affecting all of your 5 servers because the same role is associated with all the servers, right? At the same time, you can see that my status check is done. 2 checks are passed. That means my system is ready to connect now. Okay. So before we connect, I am stopping here for 2 minutes. In case you guys are having any doubt till now, you can ask me. So I'm looking at the chat. Seems like there is no doubt. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so if there is no doubt, we are good to proceed. So how to connect to the server? You can select your server from the list and then there is option connect here. Very simple. Okay. If you will see the details here, by default, it's displaying the username as EC2 user, and that's absolutely correct. By default, if you are launching a server, it will be taking EC2-user as the username. So you don't have to do anything. Simply click on connect. Very easy. You don't even have to enter the password. Don't even have to worry about the IP address. So IP address and your username, everything is pre-populated. You simply need to click on connect and ultimately your session will be starting. That means it is creating a connection to the server, and once connected, you can perform any operation. You can execute any command. Okay, any command within that system. That means this server, what type of action it can do, that depends upon the IAM role, but you can perform few things local also. Suppose you want to create a file, you want to create a directory, It's not always mandatory that you are interacting with AWS services only. You can do something on local also. You can try executing some command on the server. And so let's wait. Okay, so you can see that I have successfully connected to the server, and I can try executing some command. So I can do pwd. If you are aware about basic Linux command, pwd stands for present working directory. Because when you open a terminal on a Linux server, by default you are inside your home directory. So if you execute this pwd command, you will see that my present working directory is /home/ec2 hyphen user. And there are a few more commands, like you can type date. It will display current date and time as per UTC time zone. You see that Tuesday, August 22nd, 12:59 UTC 2023. It's a UTC time. You can just add 5.5 to this, and that would become Indian Standard Time. Okay. Do you want to create any file? So you can try that. There's a command touch, and then file name, maybe my file.txt. File will be created, but the file will be blank. If you want to type something in the file, there is a command. You can do echo, and then suppose I am putting my name. Okay, I am doing echo my name. So if I will execute this command, it will display Neeraj. But instead of displaying, I want to write this content into a text file. So I can do echo Neeraj and then redirecting this output to my file.txt. Yeah, that's all. So I have created a sample file with a small text like my name, Neeraj, and this file is available on this server. Even if you shut down the instance today and you come up tomorrow, you will find the file here. You will find the file content also. And AWS will not be charging you in case your server is in stop state. Okay. So I hope it is clear to you. This was one way to connect to your server. There is another way, and we'll be talking about that. So in case you are having any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll be starting with the next topic. I mean, the next method to connect to the server. Okay, seems like there is no doubt. So we are good to start with the next method. So just give me a moment. I will be showing you the putty. So I hope you can see the putty tool. This tool is asking for the IP address. So I can go back to my browser, and from the browser I can copy the IP address, the public IP address. This one I can copy it, and coming back to terminal and put the username. Username is EC2 hyphen user at the rate IP address. Okay, so I provided the username, I provided the IP address, and now I need to provide that key pair, the key file which will be used to create the connection. So if you click on connection, and there is SSH part, and then there is a auth, right? Here it is asking you to browse the file. So I will click on browse, and on my local the file that this ppk file is available, which we downloaded from the AWS console while launching the server. So you can see that I have selected that file, and finally I will click on open. Once I will click on open, a terminal window will be opening. I will click on accept. Okay. So I'm not sure whether you are able to see the terminal or not. I will see if you can see that. Okay, I hope you should be able to see the terminal as well. Okay. So the same command we executed there, you can execute here also, pwd or date command. And if you want to see whether the file we created from the browser terminal is that available or not, you can type ls for listing, and you can see that my file.txt is there. If you would like to display the content of this file, there's a command cat and then your file name, my file.txt, and you can see that it is displaying my name because my name was written inside the file. Okay, so this way you have noticed one thing, that whether I am connecting from the browser or I am connecting through the putty tool, or there can be many more ways to connect to the server, ultimately you are connecting to the same server, and whatever files, whatever folders are there, you can access it from anywhere. You create the file from the browser and checked it from terminal. I can create a file from here, I can go back to the browser and I can do listing over there. You can see the file there also. Let me do one thing. I will create a file, touch my second file.txt. Okay, now I will go back to the my browser. I will go back to my browser, and there I will do listing ls, and you will notice that there are two files available, my file.txt and my second file.txt. If you want to clear the screen, right, you can type clear and your screen will be cleared like this. If you want to see more detail about the files, because ls is simply displaying file name, if you want more detail, you can do ls hyphen ltr and it will display many more details. You can see that whatever entry starting with hyphen, that means it's a file. In case it's a folder, it will start with d. D means directory. Let me create a directory. So mkdir, that means making a directory, and I will give the name test underscore dir. Okay, and now if you will do ls hyphen ltr, you can see the last one. It is starting with d. D stand for directory. After that, R, W, and X is there, right? R stands for read, W for write, and X for execute. Basically, it is displaying read, write, and execute permission for that particular file or for that particular directory. After that, who is the owner of this file? And you can see the size of the file, and you can also see when this file was created. This one, and the file name. So all the details are displayed here. Okay, so friends, with this one we are done with our first service, that is EC2 server. In case you are having any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll be proceeding towards the next service, that is Lambda function. So I will conduct a quick poll so that I can get to know. Okay, so I have received only one vote. There are seven concurrent viewers. I would request to vote everyone so that I'm clear that you don't have any doubts, and then we'll be proceeding towards the next topic. that will be Lambda. Okay, so few people are opting that they have some doubt, but they are not asking the doubt. So I would say that in case you are having any doubt, you don't need to wait for anyone. Please type your question in the chat window, and in between, I keep on checking my chat. I will be answering to your doubts. Okay, so Sandesh is asking LS is used for listing. List the file. On Windows, you can go to your file explorer and you can see how many files, how many folders are there. But on Linux based OS, there is no user interface. Everything you have to do through the commands only. You are creating a file, you are deleting a file, you are renaming a file, or you are modifying any file content. Each and everything you have to do through commands. So ls command is used to list the files and folders available over there. So when I did ls, you notice that it was displaying my two files and one directory. So does that answer your question, Sandesh? Okay, seems like there is no doubt, and I have. Okay, so another doubt is from Sandesh again. LTR used for LTR used for displaying the more detail, like who is the owner, what is the size of the file, whether it's a file or directory, or what are the permissions. It will not only display the file name or directory name, rather it will display many or more things. I have a one page PDF. It will hardly take 15 to 20 minutes to learn basic Linux commands. I have a PDF with me which I can share in my WhatsApp group, and you guys can go through it. Okay, let me type in the chat window. Okay, go with the next topic. So I'm going back to my browser, and now I will open the next service. First of all, before we go to the next service, let's not forget to stop the server. It's very important thing. Okay, so I will select my server and instance state, click on stop instance, and that's all. Within 2 minutes, your instance will be stopped. Okay, so let it stop. It will hardly take 2 minutes. It is in stopping state. After 2 minutes, you will see that it will be in stopped state. Okay, you can see now. Within few seconds, it has successfully stopped our server. So moving to the next service, that is Lambda, this one. Okay, and you can read the tagline: "Run code without thinking about servers." Very interesting thing, right? It is saying that I can run my code, but at the same time, I don't have to worry about server. How is it possible? In order to run something, in order to execute something, I would need a server, right? But why it's saying without thinking about server? Because AWS will take care of the server part from the backend. It's like if your code is running for 2 minutes, so for those 2 minutes, AWS will launch a server for you, and you don't have to choose anything: operating system, hard drive, RAM, or security group, nothing. It will launch a server for you. Your code will be executed, And as soon as your code execution is done, that may take few seconds, that may take few minutes. As soon as your code execution is done, AWS will terminate the instance. That means you don't even have to worry about stopping the server or server is running 24 by 7. Nothing to worry about. This is known as serverless service. It's not exactly serverless, but serverless from the user point of view, because user does not need to worry about servers. That will be automatically taken care by your cloud. Okay, so let's create our first Lambda function. Lambda function is nothing but a code, basically a code that can be Python, Java, Node.js, anything. And as a user, you only have to worry about the code, where it will run, who will start the server, who will stop the server. That is, you don't have to worry about. Okay, you can see that there is a one Lambda function already available. I will quickly delete that. Last time, maybe last batch, I might have forgot to delete that. First of all, that will not cost you anything, because only when you are running for few seconds, some server will start, and that is under free limit. Just deleted. I will create a function from scratch. So you can see that. Click on create function. So there are many ways to create a function. Just like yesterday, there were many ways to add the permission to the user. You can directly add to the user. You can add to the group, and you can copy from other user. Similarly, when you are creating a function, either you write your own code, or there are few code snippet like blueprint is available. Suppose from the Lambda function, you want to write a code which can interact with S3, which can read some data from S3, which can write some data into S3. So that type of code is pre-available. I mean pre-written by AWS. But in our case, let's start from scratch. We will write our own code. And writing a Python code is not a big deal. You can even write one single line of the code. That's very easy. So let it open, and then I will show you how to create our first Lambda function. Okay. So it seems like it's taking some time. So you can choose this option, author from scratch. That means I myself will write the code. You can choose some function name, anything. My first Lambda function. Okay. I have given some name, and then runtime. Runtime is nothing but the language. Which programming language you will be using for writing your code. So there are many languages available. You can see that .NET, Go, Java, Node.js, Python, Ruby. I will go with Python. That is the hot programming language, the trending programming language in the market at this point of time. Okay. After that, architecture is fine. It's like you want to run on Intel based operating system or another type of operating system. It's completely fine. You can go with the default one and click on create function. It's very easy. I haven't written the code yet, but let it create the function first, and then I will show you how to uh, add some code and how to test it, because ultimately we will test also, right? So let it be ready. It's taking some time. Maybe as I explained earlier, trial accounts are a little slower as compared to the paid accounts. Okay, some issue is there, I think. Okay, friends, it seems like there is some delay. It's taking some time. So I'm refreshing the page. Seems like there is some issue while loading the page, or there can be some delay due to network slowness. Okay, friends, the Lambda function is loaded now. You can see that there are few lines pre-written. To keep it simple, right, let me remove these lines so that it's very much clear to you. So I can remove everything except the line number 3. The line is very important. So you can see that it is saying def lambda handler event context. That's a mandatory line in Lambda function. Without that line, your Lambda function will not run. But under that function, you can you can type some command. So I will type a command print. Okay, and in the bracket in the single quotes you can type some message. I'm saying welcome to Python. Okay, so what I'm expecting is it should display this message. That's very simple program. We will talk more about Python coding in our upcoming next class. Okay, but as of now I am just doing with very simple line of code, very single line. So I will click on deploy so that my code is saved here, and once my code is saved, after that we will be testing our code. Okay, so when you click on test, it will ask you to create a test event. That's one time activity, and that's happening only first time, because in order to execute your code, in order to test your code, you need to create a test event. So you can give any name. I would say test event 1. Okay, and click on save. That's all. You just need to create a test event and you should be ready to execute your code. And what is the expectation? If everything goes fine, it should display a message welcome to Python. Let's do that. So click on test and it will run. So let's check it out. Okay, you can see that. First of all, the output is displayed here. Welcome to Python. And another detail, you can see that duration of your execution is 1.44 millisecond. Just look at this. 1.44 millisecond. Almost 1000 part of your second. And billing duration 2 millisecond. So you get some free uses for Lambda function as well. So ultimately it won't be chargeable to you. So you can create your Lambda function. You can type some commands. You can execute it, and you can test it. You can even schedule the Lambda function. Suppose you say that I want to run this Lambda function every day at 8 p.m. In that case, shall I open my laptop? Shall I log in into my AWS account, and then I will run that point of time? But there is an option to schedule your Lambda function. So you can do that as well. Maybe what I will do is I have the full 1 hour of video from my last batch, and the complete 1 hour of video is about Lambda function. So you can get many more topics related to Lambda function. I will share that video in my WhatsApp group so that you guys can explore that as per your convenience. Okay. So with this slide, we are done with Lambda function as well. I hope you got little bit idea what Lambda function is all about. The major difference between Lambda function and EC2 instance is EC2 instance is a dedicated server to you that will be allocated to you. Whether you use it or not, no one else will be using it. Whatever data you will store on that server, that will be stored forever until or unless you are explicitly terminating your server. If your server is in stopped state, will not delete the data. But if you terminate means deleting your server, then you will lose your data. On the other side, Lambda function, Lambda function are nothing but a temporary server launched by AWS only for your code execution. And once your code execution is over, the server will be automatically terminated. You don't have to worry about starting the server or stopping the server. Okay, so friends, with this slide we are done for the day. In case you are having any doubts in today's class, you can ask me, and you can go through the recording or go through my other videos also. And after that, if you are having any doubt, you can ask me either on the WhatsApp group, or you can even ask me in tomorrow's class. Okay, so let me quickly conduct a poll. Okay, there's a question from Karthike. The question is difference between terminate, suspend, and stop instance. So suspend and stopping are the same thing. Suspend in the sense like when you simply close your laptop, your whatever application, everything is already it's suspend is like hibernate. I think in Windows there is a concept of hibernate, right? So the system will be hibernated. The state of your files, your tools, everything will be preserved. That means whenever you will launch your server again, start your server again, you will find those processes, the files are open. That is suspend. Stopping means shut down your system. Just like you go to your Windows and explicitly shut down your system, that is stopping. Terminating is like deleting your server. You will be losing everything, every data, because you are handing over the server back to AWS. Terminating means deleting it. Okay, does that answer your question, Kartike? Okay, friends, so that's all for today. I hope you learned something from today's class. I will share more videos from my previous batch so that you can explore as per your convenience, and you can understand these topics in much more detail. So that's all for today. Let's connect tomorrow.